morning, everyone, and welcome to my sewing room. So in the last couple of weeks, we've been trying to do a little bit in the Design Center on our Stellaire, Luminaire, or Dream Machine. And I thought I would kind of continue with that theme because a couple of weeks ago, I showed you this pillow that has a little bit of couching, which we did a whole video on couching, and it has a little bit of fills in the background just by using shapes that were in your sewing machine. I covered that fairly quickly because I wanted to get more to the couching part of it, but I had a couple of people ask me about how you actually create something like this with your shapes and filling it with different kinds of quilting fills. So I thought maybe I might just do a quick little video on how I did that. So let's just go to the sewing machine and let's get started. Okay, so let's get started. And I am using my mouse. That's what this little arrow right here is. It'll make it a little easier. My hands won't keep getting in the way so you can't see what I'm doing. So what I usually do when I'm doing something like this is I start in embroidery or I start with Disney. That's a fun way to kind of get a character. But in the Stellaire, they do not really have that little Mickey Mouse face that I use to repeat in here. I did try, I think I did a video on it already where I used the little mouse ears and I filled those with designs and made it into a quilt. That might work. There's other things that you can do. You could, I'm going to delete that. Let's see, let's go back in here. I was playing around with this yesterday and I found this Bambi, which I thought was really cute because when you save the shape of Bambi, you set it down, hit edit, and the flower. It looks like Bambi to me as a shape. So I could do that, and I'm going to put it in the memory so we can bring it up and show you what would happen if I did that. But I don't think I'm going to do that today. I think we're going to make up one of our own. So let's just go home and say, okay, and then we're going to go into my design center. So now that we're in my design center and I go under the shapes, I'm going to come up here to the flower and I'm going to choose the Bambi that I just made and say, okay, and zoom in. Let's just push plus. We're going to move this over here and choose the eraser. And we're just going to erase Thumper completely out of this. Then we'll zoom back out again. And I'm going to go under shapes and I'm going to choose a box. I could choose a hoop, but I think choosing a box is going to get what I want done here. We're going to go here. And then I'm going to choose, let's choose a forest scene, which is pretty much that one that I already had chosen. This one here. Say okay. Green. Say okay. And then I could fill the background. Whoops. Make sure you hit pour. And that's kind of what I showed you before that you could do for just creating a fun design. But if we go back, you can also, let's go zoom up here. You could fill the shape and you could create some designs. And to me, that actually looks like Bambi. Maybe I'm crazy. But anyway, that's not going to work for what we're doing today. So let's just hit all clear. So there's a lot of different things you can do. But I think what I want to do is I want to make my own Mickey Mouse shape. So I'm going to pick the circle, say, okay, let's size it. Let's make it about that big. We're going to say okay, and then we're going to duplicate it. So here's another one, and now we're going to size that one, and let's make it probably that big. Okay, and then duplicate that one. So basically, the Mickey Mouse logo is pretty universal. 3 circles and people look at it and are going to go, oh, Mickey Mouse. So that's going to work, I think, for us. So we're going to hit plus, and then I'm going to hit the eraser and make it about a medium size eraser. And we're going to erase this. And I could get even closer. If you have a Luminaire, you can go 1600%. I can only go 800, but 800 is pretty darn good. So I'm going to ease in really slow so I don't accidentally erase something I don't want to. And don't worry, if you do accidentally erase something you don't want to, like that, just undo, and it'll come back. And then I can come in here. Whoops, talk about undo. I just kind of ease back into it. And then it's a little bit easier to do it. So I'm going to move this red box over to this one. Okay. And then we have to come over here and do the other side. Oops, there's a little teeny tiny black dot right there. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so let's hit minus, come all the way out. So there's my Mickey Mouse shape that I'm going to recreate. So I'm going to hit my box and select him. And then I'm going to actually size him down even a little bit smaller than that, because I'm zoomed all the way out and it's still a little bit bigger than I want it to be. Okay, I'm going to put one here. Okay, duplicate. Let's put one here. I like to have them overlap. One of the reasons I do that is because then I get a continuous running stitch. And the other reason is because it really does make a really fun kind of overlapping design look where you've got negative space and positive space. So let's just put one over here. And maybe we'll do one more, and I'll put him right here. Okay, so I could actually save this and make it into a quilting thing stitch, but the problem is that, see right here, this is telling me I have a satin stitch. So if I hit next and preview, I went outside of the hoop over here. Hit return. So what I'm going to have to do, I could just hit, okay, let's undo it, start over again and get it right. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the eraser and I'm going to just erase that part right there. Let's zoom in. And I'm going to pick my straight tool and black. And then I'm going to just draw this closed because it has to be closed even if it's not right. So at least that's closed. So let's zoom back out again and hit next and preview. See, those are all satin stitches. That's not what I wanted. So I'm going to hit return. I'm going to hit pour, change this to a running stitch. or I could do a bean stitch, which would make it more prevalent. So let's see, let's do okay. And then I'm going to just click on one of these and they all change together. See, I'm getting that click click noise, which means that basically that they're all changed to a running stitch now. So let's do the different little fills in here. So I'm going to hit this, I'm going to hit this, select, and let's start with a brick. And we're say okay, and do it in pink. And then we're just going to pick the pour and click on it. And then we're going back in here again, select, let's do the circles. Okay. Make it purple. And there's the circles. Now this square that's right here in the middle, don't let that confuse you. That's just my settings for my hoop that I have in my machine. If I go up here to the settings menu and I say, no, I'm going to use a 9x14 to make this, that box just went away. So it's not a line that's going to sew. So let's go back in here again. Let's pick a different color and a different fill. And let's do these flowers. And do this one. I really like this kind of crosshatch basket weave. I think it's really fun. Let's do dark purple. I'm kind of going again with the pink theme, but you do whatever you want to do. That'll be fun. So we're going to go here. Let's do blue because I want to keep it fun. This one here, almost like what we did when we filled in the petals, except for I didn't have to do any tracing on this one. That's what's fun. I just have my shapes and I'm filling them with fills. So I'm going to choose this one and do the roses. Lime green. And then I'm leaving these little overlapping places as just like points of interest. There's one right there that's like 3 overlaps. So let's hit plus. Right there, that's a weird one. So let's just pick something that would be really simple to go inside there. Let's do these. Let's do the crosshatch. I think the crosshatch will work. So we'll say okay. And we're going to fill that one little spot right there. And then let's go minus. We got one more Mickey Mouse here that needs to be filled. So you know what? I'm going to leave it on the crosshatch and I'm going to do that one like that. Okay, so now that we've got all these different little fills going on here, we're going to hit next. And this is where they've set it up in size. And most of these look pretty good for the size that I want, except for this one right here, I want it to be smaller. So what I want to do is I want to hit this until it selects that one. And I'm going to say right here, minus, minus, minus. Let's make it 50%. And set that down. And then we're going to go over here and we're going to do the same thing. Let's make sure the right one is chosen. Yep, that's the right one. So let's make this one 50%. And set that down. Now I just realized that I forgot to turn this off on all of these. And I don't know that I wanted to outline it. It actually might be pretty good with it outlined. So let's hit preview and see what happens. See, that's basically what I wanted. So I'm going to hit return And I'm going to try something. I'm going to hit return here, and I'm going to, up here in the outline part, I'm going to say don't sew. And say okay, pour, and just click on that outline. And then hit next and preview. Say okay. And I still get an outline, but it's not quite so defined. It doesn't make these really defined either. No, I don't like that. So let's hit return again. Return. Let's try something completely different. Let's do this one. And let's tell it to be dark purple. Okay. And pour, and then click on it. And then when we go to next, we're going to say connect all, and turn this off. Nope, that didn't work. So sometimes it will do them all at the same time, sometimes it won't. So I'm going to change all of these to off. And that might take me a minute. I think I got them all. Okay, so now let's hit preview. And let's see what we get. I kind of like that. I like that little chain stitch going around it with all the fills and everything. So now all I have to do is hit set. And this is all ready to sew out, and I'll end up with this cute little design on a pillow or something for my great granddaughter. Okay, so let's just hit embroidery and sew that out. Okay, so I got this embroidered out, and I decided to do it on blue because I thought I already have a pink one, why not make a blue one? And I think it came out pretty good. I will put a picture up in the corner so you can see a little bit more of a close-up of it. I have to say that if I, now that I've done it, if I had to do it again, I probably want to put the flowers in there because this is more of a little boy's one, and I think the bricks and the weave on the circles look a little bit better than the flowers, but that's okay. I also decided to put a really bright green around each one of the Mickey Mouses, and I think that was a really good decision. The chain stitching around the outside did not connect in the same way that a running stitch would have. If I'd left it as a running stitch and done it as a quilting stitch, it would have just kept on going and not stopped and cut. But because of the way this was made, it kept stopping and cutting the thread and jumping and going to another spot, which was something I didn't expect. There's always going to be something like that that you don't expect, but it still sewed out really good, and I really was very pleased with the results. And I hope you learned something about Design Center. Play with it, play with it, play with it. You learn just so many fun things with it, and I really am enjoying my machine a whole lot, and I hope you're enjoying yours too. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.